Good afternoon and welcome. We're going to wait just another minute as participants are still joining, and then we'll get started. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar for Texas Home Learning 3.0. This is to talk about the product-specific adoption for reading language arts K through 8. My name is Melissa Lautenschlager. I'm the Director of Instructional Materials and Implementation at the Texas Education Agency. I am joined by Jennifer Aguirre, who will also be sharing some information today. As a reminder, please put any questions in the Q&A or use the chat function as we go along, and we will work to answer your questions throughout, as well as have an opportunity at the end for Q&A. Great. So you can see an overview on this page of the Texas Home Learning Implementation Support Series. We began with a series on adapting or adopting a remote resilient curriculum to support either adapting your current curriculum or adopting a new curriculum. Today's webinar supports product-specific adoption and the beginning of implementation of our reading language arts products as part of Texas Home Learning. We will also be offering additional webinars geared towards teachers and leaders using the products, as well as the LMS. For today, our webinar objectives will be introducing the Texas Home Learning 3.0 Reading Language Arts products for grades K through 8. We'll explore the features of the products to support remote learning and implementation in various school models. And then we will be sharing where you can access sample materials for review and when the first sets of lessons will be available. As a reminder, Texas Home Learning 3.0 is an optional aligned suite of resources that educators can use fully or in part in this new learning environment. So it consists of three major components: the instructional materials, which are pre-K through 12 digitized standards aligned curricula, content that has been customized for Texas in the current learning environment. There is technology, so a suite of technology tools, including Schoology as the learning management system to support student engagement and instructional collaboration, and professional development, where we have content and technology focused professional development to support educators with the implementation in both the classroom and remote settings. Just as a reminder, this is optional for districts to adopt none, part, or all of any of the three components. So in the context of our current reality, we know that there are many challenges and many ways that we need to adjust and respond to meet the needs of students, families, and teachers. We know that there are considerations around technology, staffing, and use of classroom space that are new, unique, and challenging. Given everything that districts are adjusting this year, we wanted to take a moment to ground in why one of the supports TEA is providing for districts in the Texas Home Learning, and specifically the instructional materials we procured for free district use. The research on instructional materials shows that student achievement increases when students are provided with consistent opportunities to work on assignments aligned to grade level standards, strong instruction where students do most of the thinking in a lesson, deep engagement in what students are learning, and teachers who hold high expectations and beliefs that all students can meet grade level standards on grade level assignments. We know that finding and using high quality instructional materials is even more challenging when considering remote and hybrid learning environments, possible school closures, and larger student gaps. This is where Texas Home Learning instructional materials could possibly meet your needs. So as a reminder, Texas Home Learning is being built to address this crisis. The 3.0 curricular resources are being selected through a competitive solicitation process based on the ability of the publisher to develop this quality TEKS-aligned instruction, and are designed for the flexibility of new learning environments. This is not an off-the-shelf curriculum, so it is being built for the current situation for Texas schools. They are being developed as we go, and as part of this, materials are undergoing a rigorous review process to confirm the alignment with TEKS and the quality standards. So we have teachers involved in this process. We have many people that are reviewing and ensuring that the materials being developed are meeting the demands for the current situation. We will have continuous improvement will be made on these materials that is informed by feedback from Texas teachers and other stakeholders. Texas Home Learning offers the free access to TEKS-aligned digitized resources to be facilitated by teachers that are customized for Texas. And so we've already introduced math products for K through 12. We are happy to announce today we'll be talking about the K-8 Reading Language Arts. We have both English and Spanish language arts and reading. And today we're really going to be focusing on the K-8 English language arts and reading and Spanish language arts and reading for K-5. And previously we have shared the science and college prep math and English. All of the products that are being developed include customized components for Texas. These are unit plans and daily lessons, teacher, student, and family supports. They have built-in progress monitoring with formative and summative unit assessments, digital format and print capabilities, and supports for all learners, including accessibility features. So we're very excited today to announce the Texas Home Learning K-8 Reading Language Arts products. They are provided by Amplify and include the Amplify Texas Elementary Literacy Program and the Amplify Texas Spanish Literacy Program, for grades K through 5, Amplify English Language Arts and Reading Texas for grades 6 through 8, and Amplify Reading Texas, a supplemental resource for grades K through 2 and 6 through 8. We are glad to be able to share the K-8 Reading Language Arts products with you today and look at some sample teacher and student materials and provide information on how you can begin accessing these materials. Included with the Texas Home Learning 3.0 offering of the Amplified Texas products is a comprehensive program of instructional tools, progress monitoring tools, and remote learning supports. As a reminder, all of the components of this comprehensive package are freely available for districts that choose to adopt. They all work together with the curriculum. We will look at each of the components in today's webinar and share how they support student and teachers for in-person and remote learning. And you will have the ability to explore some sample materials after this session. So some of the things that we often hear from districts are some frequently asked questions. So we're going to talk through two that come up the most. The first is, do these products align to the TEKS resource system? And second, do I need Schoology to use these products? So to answer the first question, will the Texas Home Learning Scope and Sequence align to the TEKS resource system? THL, the Texas Home Learning, and the TEKS resource system are two distinct and separate curricular products, both of which include a scope and sequence that is aligned to TEKS. The Texas Home Learning product scope and sequence are strategically designed and unique to the materials that are included. Therefore, they are not aligned to the TEKS resource system scope and sequence. Our recommendation is that mixing and adapting the THL products, scope and sequence, and associated lessons is not recommended, given they were intentionally ordered to build on one another. The Texas Home Learning products will include recommendations on how to follow a scope and sequence if adopting after the school year has already started to support a transition to using the materials effectively. The second question, do I need Schoology to use these products? And the answer is no. Districts will be able to access these resources in a variety of ways. They will be available on the vendor's website, which can also be accessed through texashomelearning.org. Districts can access the resource through the Schoology instance, and districts can access LTI codes that will allow them to integrate resources into another LMS if they have not chosen to adopt Schoology. Schoology will provide some features that enhance the use of the product for teachers and students, and additional information about Schoology enhancements will be provided on future webinars. You do not need an LMS to access resources that are covered on today's webinar. As a reminder, TEA has negotiated a statewide license for Schoology for all interested LEAs for 2 years. Almost 400 districts have already signed up, and another 176 are close to finishing their sign up. If you're interested, please go to the link on the bottom, www.powerschool.com/Texas. And we're encouraging that you have to sign up anytime between March 1st to benefit from this license. If you're a current Schoology customer, the contract can be discussed with Schoology in order to take advantage of the 2-year license that we have negotiated with Schoology. So I, at this time, want to turn it over to Jen, and Jennifer's going to talk you through the introduction to the THL K-8 Reading Language Arts products.
Great, thank you, Melissa. All right, team, super excited to be sharing with this group today information about our K-8 Reading Language Arts product for Texas Home Learning. As Melissa mentioned, I am Jennifer Aguirre. I am the Director of Open Education Resources here at TEA. And before that, I was a literacy coordinator K-12 for a district, and then a longtime teacher, English teacher. So really excited about this product and excited to be sharing it with you all today. We're going to go ahead and dive in. I think a key to understanding our K-8 Amplify product is that Amplify Texas literacy products really are grounded in the science of reading. So those folks that have been part of reading academies, I think this will really resonate with you. But we're going to talk a lot today about how these various products are really grounded in the science of reading. Amplify K-8 is a comprehensive language arts and reading program. It is designed to help students reach proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. Really starting kind of at the bottom left of your screen with word recognition, thinking about sounds, letters, and words, building up towards language comprehension, weaving these together to ensure students have increasingly strategic and increasingly automatic experiences so that they can read more complex text as they go through their career as a student. The K through 8 materials collectively really build on this sequence that's intended to provide understanding over time. So again, thinking about Scarborough's rope in that slide before this, taking the TEKS, the Reading Language Arts TEKS, and really embedding with them this content that is very rich in literature, history, and science. And really embedding those topics and themes throughout the course of the units in kinder through 8th grade. So this gives you an image of what that really looks like, again, specific to the Reading Language Arts TEKS and the ways in which this content brings in literature, history, and science. Thinking of this another way, you can think of the K through 2 materials as really building up students' ability to learn to read. As students go through the course of their career, our 3 through 5 materials are really reading to learn. So again, bringing in those knowledge domains of literature, science, and social studies, culminating into 6th through 8th grade with reading and analyzing increasingly complex texts. For our presentation today, we are going to kind of tackle this in a systematic way. So thinking about our comprehensive language arts and reading program, we're going to start with ELAR K through 2 skills, going into our ELAR and SLAR K through 2 knowledge units, leading into 3 through 5 knowledge and 6 through 8 knowledge. What we are not going to necessarily hit today are K through 2 SLAR skills. More information on that product and those materials are coming soon. And so not covered in this session are K through 2 SLAR skills. Okay, so really diving in first to the foundational skills approach in K through 2. So K through 2 foundational skills products. TEA is making available 2 different products for use. The first is the Amplify Texas product, which is the core program. And then there is the supplemental standalone product that is Amplify Reading Texas. These 2 products combined are available for Texas Home Learning. And to be clear, they are 2 distinct products. You potentially, any adopters, could use one product without using the other. So we are going to dive more into that in just a minute. The first part of this section is really going to focus in on Amplify Texas Elementary Literacy Program K through 2 skills. Foundational skills for K through 2 materials really focus on systematic phonics, connected reading and writing, grammar, spelling, writing process, vocabulary, and handwriting. So again, folks very familiar with HB3 or participating in reading academies, I think this will resonate with you. But these really are the components that build into our foundational skills product. Starting with the ability to support students in word recognition. So key to this program really is at the K through 2 level word recognition, starting with sounds. Students practice their phonemic awareness, their handwriting, their vocabulary, their spelling, and their grammar. Explicit instruction in foundational skills and language are designed to create reading experiences where students maximize practice decoding and encoding newly taught sound spellings. The program is intended to build on systematic instruction that goes from the simplest skills, so phonological awareness, to the most complex skills, so advanced code. And you can kind of see how the materials build on each other over the course of K through 2. Explicit instruction in foundational skills really does mean that all students learn all the code, they learn to encode, and then they practice reading code in connected text. And so you see a little graphic of that here, again, with this idea of systematic instruction that builds from simplest to most complex. The other K through 2 foundational skills product that is available is Amplify Reading Texas. Again, this is a supplemental standalone product. It can be used in partnership with Amplify Texas core program K through 2, or it can be used on its own with whatever core program you are currently using. Amplify Reading Texas is a student-driven instruction and practice, again, for grades K through 2 specifically. It is student-led digital instruction and practice program that leverages storytelling to engage students in all levels in reading and instruction practice. Whether students are just learning to read or mastering reading skills, the program takes students on a very personalized and adaptive journey through learning the skills they need. It includes this age-appropriate student experience. It is a fully adaptive learning progression program that is research-based in pedagogy. It does have meaningful data and insights for teachers and administrators, so it provides a fair amount of progress monitoring so that teachers can course correct and support students as needed, and is easy to implement as a standalone or paired with the core foundational skills. The program itself is built around kind of 2 components. So one is grade-based, and you can see in this graphic, there's this year-long storyline that is grade-specific, and then it builds on or is comprised of these quests that students engage in, all guiding students to the needs-based and adaptive component of the program. And so you can kind of see that illustrated throughout this graphic. Again, starting at a grades-based approach and then building towards this needs-based instruction. So students are really practicing the skills they most need to be practicing and mastering in order to advance. Progress monitoring through Amplify Reading is primarily done through this teacher dashboard. And so you can see an image of the dashboard over here on the right. Teachers again gain powerful insights into student reading performance and growth, and this empowers them to make the decisions needed to support students best. The materials are very flexible in terms of implementation and again support any learning environment. So I know I keep saying this, but we just really want to hammer home. It can be used as a standalone product or paired with the core foundational skills. Again, it's designed for independent, personalized instruction and practice on the student's end, provides sort of resources and insight to support one-on-one and small group teacher-led instruction. That dashboard will really help teacher make decisions about one-on-one and small group instruction. And then there are these optional discussion guides and extension activities to bridge gaps and continue to build community among students and in the classroom. So lots of ways this product can be leveraged to support student learning. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause just very quickly there and want to see if there are any questions I can quickly answer. A couple of folks I think have a question around how long will the materials be available? It's a great question. Let's come back to that because I want to be able to kind of zoom out a little bit and answer that for the various products. But the quick answer, yeah, let's come back to that. I think it's going to apply more globally when we start talking about multiple products at once. Great question. Okay, let's dive into knowledge building and vocabulary for K through 5. So we're moving away from skills now, K through 2, and we're going to transition to talking about Amplify's Texas K through 5 English and Spanish language arts and reading program. This program, as you can see here, is really grounded in knowledge building and vocabulary. So back to Scarborough's Rope, really thinking about moving from, again, word recognition and our skills piece into language comprehension and the ways in which we support K through 2 knowledge building. Starting with language comprehension and weaving together knowledge, vocabulary, sentences, connections, and gist. So starting with complex read alouds, really all with the goal in K through 2 of building knowledge, vocabulary, and drawing connections to move students from here to here. So really moving students towards that increasingly strategic and increasingly automatic practice. Okay. Throughout this program is an engaging approach to knowledge. And so again, when I say knowledge, I'm really talking about the literature domains, the science, and the social studies and history domains, all bringing those woven together in support of mastery of the reading language arts. So this product really works to build connections and context. And so again, thinking about starting with a topic like mythology in one grade and coming back to that topic in subsequent grades between K through 8. Listening and understanding. So really helping students develop critical comprehension skills so that they're hearing more complex text through read alouds, and then really being held accountable towards those comprehension pieces and skills throughout K through 2 and then increasingly in 3 through 5. An emphasis on interactivity, so lots of opportunities for student discourse, for student dialogue, even leading into a Socratic seminar, and really authentic and engaging discussions for students is one example of the emphasis on interactivity. And then assessment. And so lots of opportunity in K through 2 and 3 through 5 to assess students, I think both in a formative and a summative way on the content and the skills that are most critical for them to move forward. In the spirit of this content really growing and building knowledge over time, you can see from this image that students grow from week to week in any one topic. So this is specific to kindergarten, and you can see the trajectory of how information is built upon, again, leveraging the reading and language arts TEKS. And then built year to year. So you'll see here kindergarten with plants and geology, grade 3 with ecology, leading into grade 4. And so you can kind of see this trajectory at the bottom, all leading into making connections year by year across K through 5. So I know this is very tiny, but if you'll look, you can kind of see again the literature connection, the history connection, and the science question and connection, and the way those are woven throughout K through 5, all with the reading language arts TEKS, and by that I mean specifically English and Spanish language arts TEKS being at the core. Okay, so the K through 2 knowledge strand, again, English language arts and Spanish language arts, really focusing in on listening to learn, speaking to share, and writing to connect. And some of the key components of the K through 2 knowledge strands are these interactive read alouds and discussion, background building and vocabulary development, content area topics, again, specific to literature, science and social studies, and then application activities to deepen student knowledge. As we move into 3 through 5 integrated strands, you're going to see increasingly more opportunities for students to read complex texts, to do close reading of those complex texts, both independently and in other scenarios, so like whole group reads with the class, with the partner, and independently, collaborative conversations, increased opportunity for writing, writing about reading, again, in any of those domains, response to literature, vocabulary, morphology and word structure, and then grammar, usage, and mechanics. Another critical component to these materials are the embedded supports to support all learners. And so we've put a couple of examples on the screen for you. Here you're going to see embedded in-lesson supports, really to support and scaffold for students who might be struggling with the more complex texts. So you'll see here, there's a scenario where a teacher can show an image of the word that's being discussed and then provide a student-friendly definition. And then the opportunity to ask a challenge question to really extend and enrich thinking on this particular topic. So lessons come with, and you can see this is an example taken from like a teacher guide, which is in some respects the unit plan with lesson plans. You can see an example of how there are these sidebars with guidance to the teacher that provides different types of scaffolding and different types of challenge. Additionally, you're going to see embedded in the materials integrated supports for English language learners. The materials are ELPS aligned, so each lesson is ELPS aligned. And then there's going to be guidance for the teacher depending on the activity of ways in which the teacher can scaffold or differentiate that activity for language learners based on their level of English proficiency. And so many of the lessons have what you'll see again. Here's on the right, you'll see kind of a sample from a lesson, and then over the left, we tried to blow out what that sidebar looks like for supports. I know many folks are wondering, well, what does this K through 5 knowledge-rich curriculum come with? And so we want to take a moment to just share with you the materials that are included with these knowledge units. And so in these knowledge units, you're going to see trade books and guides, activity books that are student-facing, digital components, which include flip books and image cards. You'll see this teacher guide, which again is equivalent to basically a unit plan and daily lesson plans, and then end of domain assessments. This is really throughout each of these units. There are multiple opportunities for checks for understanding and performative assessments, leading towards this more summative assessment of an end of domain unit exam or assessment. I think at this point, probably folks are wondering, what of this do I have to purchase? I would say most of what you see on the screen will be available in a PDF that is openly accessible. There are going to be some units, and we'll come back to this later on in this presentation, but there are going to be some units that rely on a novel or a trade book that might be a copyrighted text. And in those examples, in the K through 5 materials, some of those will need to be purchased, but the majority of our K through 5 materials and readers are available in PDF format. Some additional components that I would like to highlight for this group around the K through 5 knowledge and integrated units in Spanish language arts and English language arts are that these materials really are built with students and their families in mind. So they are designed to support the needs of all students, including language learners, targeted language learners, heritage language speakers, and bilingual learners. They're built with to have flexibility for instructional models in mind, because we know that some people may run a 50-50 dual language two-way program, and somebody may have a 70-30 program. So really try to maximize flexibility for the materials to encompass dual language immersion one-way and two-way, and any language allocation model, two-teacher model or a one-teacher model, and then transitional bilingual education programs. Materials include Texas standards at point of use. So again, built on the English language arts and reading standards and the Spanish language arts and reading standards. Authentic language read alouds. Some units are built on authentic Spanish texts, and then others are trans-adapted and translated. And then tools for bridging to English from Spanish. So really making sure that we're able to provide our Texas educators and students with comprehensive English and Spanish instruction options. Additionally, the materials are ready to support remote learning. So again, campuses will have accessibility to these materials as PDFs, but also as recordings of all read alouds in Spanish and English, digital assessments available in QTI format, digital workbooks available in a PDF that students are able to write into and or fill in English and in Spanish, integration with major LMS products. There are caregiver supports in English and Spanish, and then exit tickets throughout each unit that are available in English and Spanish. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information. Before I dive into 6 through 8, I want to take a moment just to see if there are, again, any questions I can answer. Going to look at our Q&A, but if any of the other moderators want to jump in, please feel welcome. Got it. So we do have one question about science and social studies knowledge. The materials and this product is designed to be aligned to the English and Spanish language arts and reading standards. So this product is not explicitly aligned to science and social studies standards. It is just leveraging content and knowledge that thematically and topically align within science and social studies. But this is not a supplement or a set of materials to be used in science or social studies. It is a reading language arts curriculum. And then another question is, do we have Amplify Reading for 3 through 5? And again, Amplify Reading is that standalone supplemental product that is fully online and adaptive for students. We do not have it in 3 through 5. It is available in K through 2 with a focus on skills. And then it is available again in 6 through 8. So it is going to come back in today's presentation so that I can share with you how that product can be leveraged in 6 through 8. That's a great question. Okay. Diving in then to talk about our 6 through 8 English language arts and reading. Again, in 6 through 8, we have 2 products that we are leveraging to support Texas Home Learning. The first is Amplify English Language Arts and Reading Texas. This really is the core program and the core product. And then we have Amplify Reading Texas, which is a supplemental standalone program, again available in K through 2 and then 6 through 8. In these next couple of slides, we'll be covering both of these products, starting with Amplify English Language Arts and Reading for Texas. So I want to come back to this idea of building knowledge over time through the English Language Arts and Reading standards. So again, highlighting and stressing that across K through 8, instruction is sequenced to provide deep understanding over the course of a student's kinder through 8th grade school experience. So you can see over here, K through 5, you'll see the Amplify Texas product. And then over here, 6 through 8, you'll see the Amplify ELAR product. Again, continuing to build through these units, K through 8, connections to literature, history, and science, but all grounded in the English language arts TEKS. For our 6 through 8 product, this digital ELAR curriculum is really built for middle school and is ready off the ground to support remote learning. So it includes 6 core units in each grade, all centered around very rich texts and all TEKS and ELPS aligned. It is a fully interactive digital platform with built-in differentiations and supports for learners. It does include a digital library for independent reading and student-selected reading. It has formative assessments in addition to end-of-unit assessments, and then recommendations for additional support along the way. So we'll talk more about progress monitoring in this particular product, and then robust reporting. The 6 through 8 materials are really built around a structured English language arts and reading routine, but they include flexible activities to ensure a variety and choice for teachers and students. So routine-wise, you're going to see building vocabulary, you're going to see close reading of increasingly complex texts, you'll see performance tasks, opportunities for students to reflect and to check for understanding, and then you'll see independent work. But within these really standard routines, you're going to have a lot of choice and opportunity in different activities. So things like a Socratic seminar, debate, written response to what students are reading are woven in through the daily content. There are also some wonderful and robust supports for all learners. So I'm going to highlight 3 of those here. The first is the ability to get a student-friendly definition of a vocabulary term. So students have the ability to click on select words not every word, but words critical for comprehension of the text. And that will result in a pop-up of a student-friendly definition. This feature will be something I think very familiar to folks, just because it has been a feature for some accommodations for STAR, for our English language learners, and to support students of all needs. So there's the vocab feature. There is the ability to highlight, annotate, and bookmark, and then to return to those annotations or highlights. And those notes and highlights and annotations can also be seen by the teacher. So that's just an ability for a student to really interact with the text. And then there is the ability for a student to adjust text size and line space within the product themselves. So it really enhances the output of what a student sees based on their need. The Amplify ELAR 6 through 8 materials also provide students with the opportunity to write about every 2 to 3 lessons. And so one of the features we do want to highlight for folks today is that every writing assignment includes at its core a grade level prompt, and then includes multiple ways in which a teacher can scaffold that prompt for designated students. So teachers have the ability to assign one of these scaffolds. You can see, moderate, light, challenge, these 5 scaffolds here on the right. And a teacher can select, let's say I wanted to select moderate. A teacher can select moderate, and it would provide a particular student that it's assigned to with that grade level prompt, but some additional scaffolds. And here for my moderate example, you can see that additional sentence stems are provided for the student. So the student is still expected to do the grade level work. They're just provided some additional scaffolds and supports to get there. Additionally, there are some easy to use feedback tools. So again, with this idea that students are being asked to write every 2 to 3 lessons, one of the, I think, great features, again, that supports all students, but also our special population students, is that teachers can really provide feedback quickly and in real time. And so you can kind of see over here on the right, teachers can leave a comment and or they can leave an emoji and just give students encouragement and feedback as they go through the writing process. Additionally, lessons include, or these materials include an interactive vocabulary app. This allows teachers to access all student work feedback, This allows teachers to access kind of key vocabulary from the lesson. And the app allows students to repeat encounters with each word and the ability to practice keyword skills. So students can practice using this app and they can return to words that they need additional exposure on. And then the app also has the ability to adapt levels of words to students' performance and can equally be used independently with student and teacher facing reports. Okay, so really thinking again to the idea of progress monitoring, want to really stamp for this group that these materials provide frequent low stakes formative assessment moments, specifically TEKS-aligned exit tickets so that a teacher can check on progress at the daily level for a student and at the lesson level for a student. Independent reading comprehension, so text-dependent questions and our checks for understanding embedded in the content, and then opportunities for students to write in response to what they're reading every 2 to 3 lessons. Each unit also includes a summative reading and writing assessment for every unit, and you can see an example of it here. This program allows for different types of questions. So you'll see opportunities are included for drag and drop and or 2-part questions to assess student understanding of the unit text and the unit concepts. Additionally, you can see some supports here that students can increase the size and or they can have a text read to them. Again, this product also rolls all of this information up in a progress monitoring format to report on and inform on instructional choices. So teachers can see how students or groups of students are progressing through mastery of content and of standards. And this really helps give teachers kind of a class and individual view of how students are doing, and lets them make choices either, again, for students one-on-one or for small group instruction based on student need. Okay, we're going to transition quickly from talking about our core program, Amplify ELAR Texas, to the Amplify Reading Texas program, which again is a supplemental standalone program available in K through 2 skills and then 6 through 8. So this program really is designed to extend instruction of whatever core program you're using. So it can be used, I'll go back to the previous slide, it can be used with Amplify ELAR Texas, but it can also be used as a standalone program. It is a student-driven, interactive online program, in this case for 6 through 8, really designed for individual student experience. It includes lessons and unlimited practice. It has differentiated feedback and extra supports for scaffolding. It does provide teachers and students with data and insights so that teachers and administrators know how students are progressing. And then it is very easy to implement. So really easy for students to use at home in remote learning environments and or in a more traditional school. The program itself really does leverage and continues to leverage what is available in Amplify English Language Arts and Reading Texas core product, which is the ability to read and comprehend and analyze increasingly complex texts through the practice of close reading. Close reading instruction and practice is leveraged in this program through interactive storytelling and differentiated instruction. So the whole program is built on this graphic novel called The Last Readers. And using this context really pushes students to learn about topics such as claims, evidence, reasons, word choice, tone, all of the skills that you would expect a student needing to practice and develop as they become more fluent readers in complex TEKS-aligned materials. And then again, in the spirit of just like easy to implement, lots of flexible implementation opportunities to support various learning environments. So students or this product can introduce concepts. It can reinforce other instructional materials and or curriculum. It can be used in independent practice, and it can be used in a remote and a hybrid learning environment. Okay, materials available today. So today you're gonna see a sample of each of these products. We've gone over 4 products today. You'll see a sample of these products by visiting texasHomeLearning.org, instructional materials, Texas Home Learning, or through amplify.com Texas Home Learning. And again, this deck will become available later on today on the Texas Home Learning website. One of the most frequently asked questions is, will districts need to purchase underlying text required to implement materials? The answer here is yes. Some of the text will need to be purchased, but in K through 5, the majority of the texts are available as a PDF, and if a district chooses to only use that digital PDF, they could make that choice, and then the only cost would be what they decide to print for students and or teachers. But in K through 5, there are a few units that require, again, a trade book or a novel that would need to be purchased. In 6 through 8, I believe all materials currently for the units that we're rolling out initially are available digitally. As we take input from the field, we may start to work to think about, like, 1, how can we leverage additional text in the material for 6 through 8? But the majority of the materials now will be available as a PDF and or digitally, and we'll continue to have information for you on specifics, including cost and what would need to be purchased should somebody adopt these materials. Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Melissa, who will wrap up this last section for us, and then we'll open it up for question and answers.
Thanks, Jen. So we have about 10 minutes left. We're going to work to go through a few more things, and then we will be able to get to a little bit of Q&A. So if you could go to the next slide. Great. So you can visit texasHomeLearning.org to learn more. And this is really a great site to bookmark to keep you in the loop of events, webinars, releases, as well as accessing the vendor information when you go to texasHomeLearning.org. On the next slide, here you can see that we have some events coming up. We will have instructional materials posted, and the vendor website are linked on the texasHomeLearning.org. And then coming soon, we will be able to release our integrated pre-K and our K2 Spanish language arts skills and K5 social studies. So please check back at texasHomeLearning.org to be able to see when upcoming events are happening. Just as a reminder, if you have colleagues or you're interested in math or science webinars, there are ways that you can register on texasHomeLearning.org in order to learn more specifics about our math and science products and help you get started. And then on the next slide, the Amplify Texas release dates. We have some upcoming releases of the overview in K5 ELAR and SLAR Unit 1 will be released next week on October 9th. And then we will have some additional releases happening, and hopefully the dates will be out next week as well. We'll keep you in the loop at texasHomeLearning.org. We're going to transition now to working on answering as many questions that we can during this time. If we do not get to your question during the webinar, please continue to add those. We will release some additional FAQs on the texasHomeLearning.site, as well as the recording of the webinar. And then you're always welcome to email us at texasHomeLearning@tea.texas.org for additional questions. So I'll open it up to questions at this time.
Great, thanks, Melissa. And I want to come back to the question of how long will these materials be available for open access. It's a little bit of a nuanced answer. So in K through 5, the K through 5 product, those materials are actually open education resources, and they will be available in perpetuity. So districts will have, once released, districts will have open access to those materials in English language arts and reading and Spanish language arts and reading as long as needed. For 6 through 8, specifically 6 through 8 Amplify ELAR Texas, those materials will be available for 3 years. And then the Amplify Reading K through 2, which is again the standalone supplemental product, that will be available in K through 2 for 2 years. So that is a 2-year availability. And then the Amplify Reading 6 through 8, I believe, is a 3-year availability. So again, a little bit of a nuanced response there. And we will go into more information both for this product and other products around licensing and availability. I know the team is working just to help clarify this for a lot of folks, because this question comes up not just for this product, but for other THL products. So we want to be sure that we have a resource that we can share with you all soon.
Just for clarity, there's some questions about 3 through 5. We do have there's a supplement to support reading in K through 2 and 6 through 8, but reading is included within the package in 3 through 5. It's not, it's just not an additional supplement. correct, Jen?
That is correct. Yep. So there's a core program that's available in English and Spanish, but the Amplify Reading Supplemental product we only have available in K through 2 and 6 through 8.
Great.
Thanks for pulling that out, Melissa. Great. Somebody is asking just about TEKS coverage. Yes, for all of the core products, so K through 8, the core products again are aligned to English language arts in K8 and then Spanish language arts K5 as appropriate, and then they will cover throughout the course of the year all of the TEKS. So not all of the, I think the way the question is worded, to be clear, not all of the TEKS are covered in any one unit, but they are all covered throughout the course of a year. So by the time a third grader gets to the end of the third grade year, that third grader would have covered all of the third grade English or reading language arts TEKS. Somebody's also asking if we know about when pre-K materials will be ready, and I think I had another question about SLR materials. We don't have any additional information on that just yet. We're hoping soon to have more information to release, but we don't yet have a timeline on either SLR K through 2 skills or pre-kinder. I think we may have already answered this question, but just to confirm, Unit 1 will be available on October 9th. And after that, we will work on a release schedule or calendar that we can share, but units will be released on a rolling basis. So we had a couple of questions about when materials will be available. So again, October 9th is when we're hoping to make available Unit 1. And then we will release materials on a rolling basis. Yeah, I think still some questions about the supplemental program. The Amplify Reading Supplemental Program, again, is available K through 2 and then 6 through 8. It is not embedded in the core program. It is a separate product that can be used to supplement the core program, or it can be used to supplement whatever core program a district is currently using. So a district could legitimately use the standalone supplemental product in K through 2 or 3 through 6 in addition to whatever they have already adopted. And then again, I know we're nearing our time. Yes, 1 unit for K through 5 will be available on October 9th. And then Amplify 6 through 8, I think we're still waiting on some information around when Amplify 6 through 8 will be released. But Valerie, if that's not the case, definitely chime in. The supplemental programs are, yes, free of charge for 2 years in K through 2 and 3 years in 6 through 8. Great. Still a couple of questions about the Amplify Reading Program and a few specific to 6 through 8. So we are going to be doing relatively soon a kind of product Amplify 101 intro session, and certainly we'll be able to answer with greater detail some of the questions specific to how that program works and how it builds in 6 through 8 on complex text, content, and just continued skill development. So we'll talk a little bit more about that product in our next webinar. Okay, I think we've answered most of the questions. Certainly very excited to have shared this information with you. Encourage you to go to the Texas Home Learning website where you can again find a sample of these products and get more information about upcoming webinars and our release.
Thank you all for joining us today. Continue if you have additional questions or we were unable to answer your question, you can check back at texashomelearning.org. We appreciate your time and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, team.